As always, keeping them honest. With a remarkable display of bravery in Iran and a brazen display of brutality and hypocrisy by the Iranian regime. Hundreds of thousands of Iranians reportedly took to the streets today. The Iranian regime doesn't want you to know about it, though, doesn't want you to see the pictures. Dictators never do. Iran is more efficient in their crackdown than the Egyptian government was. They won't allow foreign reporters in the country. They reportedly shut down train service, cell phones, and responded to protesters with tear gas, beatings, and arrests. Some pictures have emerged, though, on YouTube. This is what happened today as a group of protesters reportedly tried to burn a poster with the faces of the Iranian leadership on it. One man, allegedly a plainclothes policeman, tries to stop them. Watch. Battles between protesters and police. Public Broadcasting's Tehran bureau reporting 350,000 people marched. Demonstrators chanting death to the dictator, and an Iranian dies but doesn't accept humiliation. Today they were beaten, tear-gassed, and thrown in jail. Two key opposition leaders were put under house arrest last week. Reports, too, of at least one fatality, but hard numbers on deaths or detentions are hard to come by. What makes this not just an act of brutality, but also a brazen act of hypocrisy by the Iranian regime is that this regime has been praising the protesters in Egypt. Iran's president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, said just the other day, quote, "It's your right to be free. It's your right to exercise your will and sovereignty and choose the type of government and the rulers." Iran's regime may believe it's Egyptians' right to do that, but clearly not its own people. A semi-official news service in Iran linked to the government called the protesters today hypocrites, monarchists, ruffians, and seditionists. We should not be surprised by their rhetoric, of course, or by their brutality. This is a regime whose hands are already drenched in blood. In 2009, after the presidential election, in which there was widespread evidence of fraud, the streets erupted. The biggest demonstration since 1979 revolution that overthrew the Shah. Estimates ranging from hundreds of thousands to several millions. Peaceful protests were met by government forces, uniform and plain clothes, and in some cases by government supporters chanting death to Israel, death to America. We've seen these tactics before, trying to deflect attention onto foreign enemies, trying to spread the notion that outside forces were the problem. The Iranian regime telling the same lies Mubarak told as well, trying to shift the blame, dodging accountability. We don't know exactly how many died in the protests and crackdown that followed back then. We don't know how many were jailed and tortured. This afternoon, responding to the latest crackdown, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton blasted the Iranian regime for its lies and double talk.
What we see happening in Iran today is a testament to the courage of the Iranian people and an indictment of the hypocrisy of the Iranian regime, a regime which, over the last 3 weeks, has constantly hailed what went on in Egypt. And now, when given the opportunity to afford their people the same rights as they called for on behalf of the Egyptian people, once again illustrate their true nature.
Well, Iran is not the only country where we've seen the ripple effects of Egypt's revolution. Let's go over to the wall here. I just want to show you a map of the region and give you a sense where other protests are also popping up, not only today, but also over the weekend. Okay, so you have Iran, which we've talked about here, the largest demonstrations outside of Egypt so far, potentially the most explosive. Now, just to the south of Iran, you have the Gulf state of Bahrain. It's a very small Gulf state right there. Police fired tear gas and rubber bullets into a crowd protesting the Sunni royal family there. Bahrain is 70% Shia, mostly poor, heavily discriminated against, they say, in housing, jobs, as well as the government. Here, now to the south of Bahrain, you have Yemen. In Sana'a, which is the capital of Yemen, anti-government protesters marched on the presidential palace demanding the end of authoritarian rule. At Sana'a University, pro-government forces crashed a sit-in, beating students with sticks. And over the weekend, over here in Algeria, to the west of all of this and to the west of Egypt, in northwest Africa, in Algeria, riot police crashed with crowds demanding an end to the repressive regime that's ruled the country and maintained power through rigged elections since 1999. Now, one marcher telling the New York Times, this is how power here acts. And in Tunisia and Egypt and Yemen, Bahrain, Iran, and elsewhere, this is how power acts.